Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. April the 2nd, Liberation Day, in the words of Donald Trump, and we should expect some volatility ahead. Bitcoin is coming in at $84,500. I am still expecting a move to the downside. I still have my short open. But if we can see today out, if we can get past this moment of reckoning, then I will be more bullish, close my short, and look upwards rather than downwards. We have a lot to get through today. We're not just going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about ETH fees. We're going to talk about a 30-cent XRP. Is that just absolute BS? We're going to talk about a ChatGPT or GPT portfolio that's been put together by AI. Is that a portfolio that will beat some of these so-called experts? Will it beat the likes of me? Probably. We're going to talk about Archax, which most of you probably haven't heard of. We're going to talk about Ondo. We're going to talk about 5 gaming tokens because I don't want to come across as harsh to you. I don't want to come across as somebody that just bashes an entire class of crypto because I don't like them. So we're going to look at 5 gaming tokens, and then I'll give you my honest opinion on which ones I think are going to go down 50%, which ones are going to go down 75%, and which ones are going to go down 99%. That's the plan. Now, good mornings to Mags, Hidden, Velvet, Kishan is in chat, KB is here, Jan, good morning, Eugene is here. How are you doing, Eugene? I hope you're doing well over there in South Carolina. Mr. Cheeto himself is working hard at slowing the economy down, put it that way. And good morning to Yazir. I hope you're all doing well. Let's switch over. Look at that. It's like watching Sky News. It's like watching CNN. That's how smooth we are over here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Give us a follow. In the bottom over there, you will see we are above 205,000 followers. Title of the show today, D-Day Donald. What's going to happen? I'll tell you what I think is going to happen at the beginning when we go through some of the X-Files. You can see the menu on the right-hand side. You can see it's 11:02, and you can see that we have the markets open in front of us. Bitcoin then 84.7, Ethereum just below 1900. Again, XRP holding on to $2 like a dog with a bone. BNB holding on to $600. Solana 126. It's a magic number. We've said 126. 126. If that goes, we could see 110. Okay, it's a very pivotal level for Solana. But then again, a lot of these prices are very, very pivotal. Cardano is below 80 cents, below 70 cents now. Toncoin is back above $4. That's a positive sign. Tron is still knocking on the door of Cardano. Is it going to take over Cardano? Only time will tell. So again, the markets are a bit mixed. Overall, the market cap is down a touch. Volume is just under 80 billion. Not so bad, I suppose, considering where we are. Gainers then, EOS. Again, I'm not going to buy that token, but it's gone through a rebrand, and the rebrand is changing it to a different business model. It's becoming a Web3 bank. I'm not going to go and tell you to buy that token because I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to tell you it's a good investment. But if we look at the last rebrand that happened when, say, Phantom switched over to Sonic, that's gone up great guns. I think EOS could go on a run. It's only at a $1.2 billion market cap. I'm not going to buy any, but it is moving up. The price is definitely accelerating. Crow is up there, still holding on to 10 cents. A few of the gainers, Bonk, Radium, not many real winners, I suppose. Losers then, same kind of bottom that we've had for the last few days. We've got 4 down there again. We've got Story IP down there again. That's down 34% in a week. Ouch. And look at Jupiter. 40 cents. 40 cents for Jupiter. Now, I know Solana is sitting at 126, but Jupiter's taken a hammering. Now, I don't know whether this is still the fallout from Libra, Pump.Fun, the meme end, possibly, the fall in volume on Solana, possibly, but I think that's an overreaction. Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, ASI, FET, as I call it, at 45 cents, that should be $5. Or even, worst case scenario, $3.50. It's at 45 cents. Again, even though the market has corrected since December, it's massively, massively undervalued for what it does. It's still just hanging on to $1 billion. Incredible. IMX, again, if there was a gaming token, IMX wouldn't be a bad one either. So there's a lot of really solid projects in the bottom that have taken a hammering. Aave is down 15% in the last week. A lot of very solid projects have taken an absolute pummeling. But then again, so's the market. I saw a report yesterday. Actually, I need to go full screen for this because I think it's important that you guys understand something, okay? Or not understand something, that's not the right way to say it. You appreciate something that's going on. Somebody put out a report that a certain exchange, a black and yellow exchange, 27 of the 30 or 25 of the 27 tokens that had been listed on that exchange since the start of the year have been in red. And they made a point of singling out this exchange. And there's no comparison. Now, had they taken an American blue and white exchange, this black and yellow exchange, another blue and white exchange, and then maybe the crypto exchange that I can't mention the names of, and done a comparison of all the coins listed on all of those exchanges over the last 3 months, side by side, and said, this exchange, 95% of the tokens are in a loss, this exchange, 50%, this exchange, 25%. Then that's a fair comparison. But to take one exchange and target it and say this exchange is so bad, you're going to lose money hand over fist buying these tokens, and give you no benchmark to compare it against is disingenuous, and it looks like a hit piece. And now you are seeing hashtags all over X saying hashtag boycott XYZ. And whether it's this exchange that's black and yellow, whether this exchange that's blue or white, you can't take these things out of context. The market is down. Bitcoin, since January the 20th, has fallen almost 25-30%. And all of the alts have gone with it. So to pick on one exchange and call them a bad actor without providing evidence to support that is disingenuous, and it's unfair, and it looks like a hit job. And it looks as if, why is this person making this article? Are they doing it because they've been hard done by? Is it a personal vendetta? Are they a neutral market commentator? Because if they are, without providing a benchmark, it sounds terrible. If I said to you, Liverpool have taken 4 of the last 12 points, you'd think, crikey, that's terrible. But you don't know what the position is in the league. You don't know how many points other teams have taken. You don't know where they are in the form league. It's just one piece of information taken out of context. And I'm not defending this exchange in particular. What I'm saying is that it's an unfair attack. And I'll call out unfair attacks and I'll make you aware of them, because you may come across that and think, God, they really are a bad exchange. Well, how are they a bad exchange if the entire market has gone down and they've followed suit? Are they listing really, really bad tokens? How are those tokens? Are those tokens listed on different exchanges? There's no comparison. It's unfair. I call BS. Glad you were back at your... I don't know if I'm back at my best. I'm back at my moaniness. Eugene. That's what I'd say. Aero, again, solid project. Jupiter, solid project. These are not bad projects. They are really easy to understand their business model. They take transaction fees. They take a big chunk of the market. They make a lot of money. These are the projects that are going to be around in 3 or 4 years' time. This is what I keep trying to say on this channel. You have to look at crypto businesses like businesses. And if you own a sandwich shop and it costs you $2 to make a sandwich and you sell that sandwich for $1.50, you will not be around in 12 months' time. If it costs you $1 to make a sandwich and you sell it for $3 and you're in profit, you will be around in 3 or 4 years' time. It's simple, but people just look straight past it and say, oh, well, they've got ZK roll-ups and they've got the ag layer connected in CCIP and they do $50,000 a day in transactions. It doesn't mean anything. They're not going to be here. It's a waste of time looking at them. Aero, solid, does a lot of volume. Jupiter, Radium, even though it's lost out to Pump.Fund, solid. All of these projects make money. The big question is the chain they're on going to be here in 4 or 5 years' time? Certainly Base is going to be here. Certainly Solana is going to be here. So again, use your judgment yourself. Good morning, Tariq. I hope you are well. Should we get on with this? I've had a rant already. The White House says President Trump has made up his mind on tariffs, which we will announce today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, I don't know what time, 10 p.m. our time, 11 p.m. our time. These tariffs will officially go live on Thursday, April the 3rd. We will be breaking it all down as the announcements are made. So this is the day that Trump makes his announcements. And my 2 penneth on this is as follows. There are already countries starting to fold, starting to give in and basically say we will either have no tariffs or we will have reciprocal tariffs. Now, let me, again, full screen again now. I don't know how many of you know this, but the EU, under Ursula von Bommel, the new German leader of Europe, and again, I never thought I'd say that 80 years later, she's decided to tackle America head on. And she said that she's ready to defend European rights and she's ready to do this and she's ready to do that. The tariffs that the EU impose on America are higher than the tariffs America imposes on Europe. So, when Donald Trump comes along and says we're going to have reciprocal tariffs, so if you charge me 25% on my car, I'll charge you 25% on your car, then it's entirely up to the individual in Europe and the individual in America. Do they want a European car in America? Do they want an American car in Europe? Okay? It's reciprocal tariffs. And everybody is getting on the Cheeto man's back. Everyone's having a go at him. You can't do that. You're isolationist. You're losing allies. Allies and friends don't treat each other differently. So if you charge 10% to import wheat and barley, then you should expect America to charge you 10% as well. What's the difference? So they've all kicked off at him. I'm expecting today to be a day where multiple countries come to agreements with America. I'm not saying of the 25 countries they're all going to come to an agreement, but I would expect 5 to 10 to come to an agreement. And what matters here is how much face are some countries going to lose? Europe, for example, are they going to negotiate the deal that Trump wanted and then say that it's been a success and we've fought for European rights? Look at Carney in Canada, big man, small man, big boots syndrome. Again, giving it all the big I am. They charge America 90% import tax on some of their products. America hasn't got that in place yet. So if it was a situation where Europe wasn't charging tariffs and Canada wasn't charging tariffs to America and America was doing this, I'd be having a different conversation with you. But let's have a level playing field. What's so hard about having a tariff, a joint tariff where everything is 10% in and out? Or why don't you just get rid of them? Get rid of tariffs completely because you want to protect your own market. Well, that's what Donald Trump wants to do. But that makes him a bad man. It makes no sense. Economically, it makes no sense for America to keep the tariffs that are in place, or the tariffs that other countries have in place with America. They've been a soft touch. They're the biggest importer in the world. They're a soft touch. I don't blame him. I'm not American. I can see why they're doing it. It makes perfect sense. Good morning, Danny. I hope you are well. I think it's ranty day today, unfortunately. You've joined on a ranty day. BlackRock officially registers as a crypto asset firm in the United Kingdom. Again, these types of snippets just show what BlackRock are trying to do and position themselves in territories where they think they're going to make the biggest gains, whether that be America, the EU, the UK. Again, some of these are very quick. They don't require rants. This is the list of AI agents buy hold on Solana. We're not going to talk about some of these because they are, I don't know. This annoys me, okay? This annoys me because of reputation. When you look at companies, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Alphabet, and then these people walk up, oh yeah, do you want to sign in? Where are you from? I'm from Fartcoin. What? Goat. I mean, again, if you want to be taken seriously, give yourself a serious name. It makes no sense. Some of these are called utterly ridiculous names. AI16Z, we talked about before. What else have we talked about before? Swarms, we've mentioned before on here. Goat, we've mentioned before on here. AI tokens have never recovered from the DeepSeek. The DeepSeek launch, the Chinese AI project that launched, it absolutely floored the AI market. Then you had commentators saying that all AI bots were bad or social bots were bad. No, they're not. They do have a purpose and they will be used. And the launch was overhyped, which we left them for a very long time. We waited to see what was going to happen, and then we picked our 3 coins, which was Virtuals, AI16Z, and another one, AIXBT or something like that. So we picked 3 that we bought a small bag of. We're holding them. Those are the coins. AI tokens aren't going to go anywhere. There may be new ones that come out, but don't disregard the entire market because of what happened. There was a massive overreaction. Maybe it coincided. Some of them did go to massive multiples. Some of these coins went way above where they should have been valued, but others certainly are not overvalued. The total altcoin market cap is sitting at a key area. We pointed this out on Monday. I didn't want to bring the chart up again, so Dan Crypto Trades has done it. We are back at the election pump breakout. It seems to be a decent place where some demand is coming in. Bulls have so far failed to take this higher, though. It's an important level to hold in the short term. We highlighted these 2 levels. One for the total market cap, and then I think it was total 2 or total 3. I think it was total 3, which was the market cap minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. And we're back at levels where we kind of need to hold because there's a bit of a drop beneath us. And we said this on Monday. And there's a long way down. And I haven't changed, by the way, since Monday. I'm not normally very bearish, to be honest. I am normally trying to be quite neutral, but I do see a break. Now, today's the day, Liberation Day. We could see massive bullish news today. We could go over $90,000 today, or at least to $88,000. If we don't, and these tariffs come in tomorrow, which is Thursday, what happens on Friday? We get the unemployment report. We could see America, well, we know America's in a recession, but we could see America really start to go into a recession. And then we're going to see just bearish news. We might have an entire early summer of bearish downward action. If we don't get rate cuts in April and they don't get rate cuts till June, again, we could see crabbing or bearish action for the next 3 months. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's a possibility. We're on a knife's edge. We always seem to be on a knife's edge with Bitcoin. We go up, we go down, but let's not worry too much. Now then, a coin that we mentioned yesterday, and we kind of went through the website. I said I didn't really like gaming tokens. They're on multi-chain. Sorry, not on multi-chain. They've gone multi-chain. They're now moving over to Avalanche. Again, what does that mean? It means people can use this token on Avalanche. If they've got an Avalanche wallet, they will be able to get their tokens on Avalanche. They will be able to buy the tokens on Avalanche and play through their Avalanche wallet. It's a good thing. I'm not too sure Avalanche is necessarily the biggest chain they could have gone to first. But, you know, it's good. It's good. Let that happen. And again, I've heard a lot of people speaking bullishly about Guns, the token, in the last few days. Let them. If it ends up being a solid project, all well and good. Let's go through the gaming tokens in a bit. Right, Tether has purchased 8,888 Bitcoin in Q1 this year. 735 million, the stablecoin issuer said the mark-to-market gains on Bitcoin and gold reserves led to a record-breaking quarter. Again, we talked about this, I don't know if it was the end of last year or the start of this year, that Tether was going to start buying gold as well as Bitcoin. Gold is at all-time high. Gold being at an all-time high should tell us everything we need to know about the market, and that's not a good thing. It should also tell us all about the macro, which means it's not a good thing. Gold has put in, is it 50 weeks, 50 consecutive days? I can't remember now, but it's a big number of consecutive gains for gold. When gold starts to break down, maybe we'll then start to see a recovery, but who knows? So Tether has purchased an awful lot of Bitcoin. I now believe they've got $7.8 billion worth of Bitcoin. And they bought the $777 million worth. They reported record-breaking profits in one quarter. In 3 months, they made $4.5 billion. So $1.5 billion a month profit from a stable coin. This is why everybody wants a stable coin. This is why the Trump family want a stable coin. This is why a certain exchange want to launch their own stablecoin. We're going to have stablecoins coming out of the wazoo. And the question is, how many stablecoins are too many stablecoins? 5, 20, 500? At what point do we have too many stablecoins? It's crazy. So the El Salvador-based firm said it holds $90.87 billion worth of US treasuries, which mirrors Germany's holdings of the US debt in early 2024. Again, what made me laugh was when Carney, or was it before Carney, they came out and said Canada is going to sell off all of their American treasuries and teach America a lesson. And it reminds me, you know when you see those TikToks and you've got the little tiny guy and he's doing that with the ropes and he looks like he's going really, really hard. And then the camera zooms out and then there's like a 6'4" guy and his shoelaces are doing that. Well, that little tiny guy with the ropes, that's Canada. And that 6'3" guy with the shoelaces, that's America. It makes no difference to America because these stablecoin issuers are just adding and adding and adding. Every time $1 million worth of stablecoins are issued, that's nearly $1 million worth of treasuries being bought. So for every time you see one of my, I take screenshots sometimes and post them on Telegram, you'll see 250 million USDT has been minted, or 250 million USDC has been minted on Solana or Ethereum. That's $250 million worth of treasuries being bought in the real world. Because for every dollar that exists in the virtual magic money world, $1 sits in a bank account or in a treasury. So Germany now holds the same amount of debt as Tether, just to put it into context. And Germany is one of the top 10 economies in the world. So it's not a small amount that they hold. The remainder of Tether's profits from market-to-market gains on its Bitcoin and gold, the company said. Within the company reserves, which includes cash equivalents and other investments, Tether says it holds 5.4 billion of Bitcoin and 3.65 billion worth of gold. The company said in May that it would allocate 15% to Bitcoin. And again, this is all, again, we don't need to talk too much about this. It's all fairly bullish. You know, we want to see stable coins making money. We want to see stable coins work and be profitable, because they are potentially the Achilles heel of crypto. If you don't have a solid stable coin market, then how do you get your money out? How do you sell to dollars if there's no, you know, if you believe Bitcoin or Ethereum is too volatile, and you want to sell it to USDC or USDT, and it's not backed by billions and billions in profits, the chances are that that could be peg. So your $100 or your $100,000 of Circle or Tether is actually worth $85,000. Excuse me, something's gone the wrong way. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. This is where we are. This doesn't appear to be the right chart. Oh. Is this the right chart? Oh, what are we doing on the 15-minute? I think that Oracle, I think he messes with my charts. That's what I think. Right then. So, have we put in a higher low? Or are we going to do this today and start getting down towards these numbers that we've talked about before? And those numbers are kind of around this level here, which is like 72, 73, 72, around there. Okay, are we going to break to the downside? Only the orange man will know. Now, we've got 10, 11 hours before the tariff war is announced. We don't know what's in that tariff war. We don't know how many agreements have been made between America and its partners. We don't know. So, based on not knowing anything, we can only guess. My guess would be, if we wick up, we go to 88,000, which is the bottom of the bull market support band. You will remember last week we talked about this price here, which was 88.5, and I said last week's one of the shows was called Rejection. We're going to break down. Well, because the bull market support band, the average has come down. That's now 88,000. So I think if we do have a small move to the upside today, it will be to 88,000. If we have massively bullish news, the EU, Canada, Mexico, everybody comes into an agreement. Trump comes out and says, that's the end of the tariff wars. I'm never going to say that word ever again. Let's concentrate on buying Bitcoin. Then we need to break above 94,000. I think we're a long way from that. What is more than likely going to happen is some of the smaller nations. I know Israel, for example, they've already scrapped all the tariffs on American goods. I think there's going to be a few more to follow today. Smaller nations aren't going to affect it. If we go into tomorrow and Friday with the EU, Mexico and Canada and China, Japan, if everybody's starting to jostle with America, then I think we're going to break 80,000. I've still got my short open. But if we get remotely bullish or remotely cool news coming out from the White House, then maybe we're at 84,000, 83,000 tomorrow. Again, we always look to the extremes. Are we going to go to 69,000? Are we going to go to 100,000? I think somewhere in the middle, we're going to go between 88 and 78. I think that's probably the range we're going to be in. And we're kind of going to be stuck here for a while. We're going to get interest rate cuts at some point. We're going to get QE at some point, and then we're going to go up to the upside. But as long as we kind of hold, I'd say as long as we kind of hold 72,000, I think we're all good. I think we're all good. I'm not too worried. Not too worried. I'm more worried about what's going to happen in the mind of Trump and where he goes next. That's more worrying. And that's what when you saw so many politicians around the world saying, you know, we don't want Trump. The reason they don't want Trump is he's volatile. Okay? They want Keir Starmers. They want Mark Carney's. They want leaders that toe the party line. And by the party line, I mean the laissez-faire. I mean, we're all going to agree on everything. We're going to have consensus. We're just going to all, you know, meander along, implement some green strategies, you know, put taxes up here and there on people that we don't like, cut taxes on our friends, those kind of things. And then Trump comes along and says, I don't care. You've tried to lock me up. I don't care. I'm worth a fortune. I'll do what I want. And he has done to a certain extent. He's done what he's wanted to do. And that's why they don't like him. But it also means it's very difficult to give any kind of direction when he can flatten or pump any direction at the drop of a tweet. So it makes it hard. Now, Ethereum fees dropped to 5-year low. What else is blocking ETH's $2,000 breakout? We've said before on here, cheapest does not mean best. And for 2 years, we've been talking about how Solana's fee generation was a fraction of Ethereum's fee generation. And what we mean by that is, every time you do a transaction on Solana, it costs you 0.0005 cents. So it takes an awful lot of transactions for them to make $1. On Ethereum, it's different. Sometimes on Ethereum, it can cost you $2 or $1. Sometimes it can cost you $15. Well, those fees go into their treasury. The fees from Solana's transactions go into Solana's treasuries. So Solana has to do 500, 5,000, 50,000 times the volume that Ethereum has to do to make the same dollar. Now, what did Ethereum do? Ethereum went, our chain is too expensive, we're going to have to make it cheaper, so we're going to slash all the fees. And they did that 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and we had a rally on Arbitrum, we had a rally on Optimism. I said it was a great thing at the time because it was making these layer 2s super, super cheap. And what that meant was they could then go out and start to compete with Solana. And if you take Arbitrum, for example, Arbitrum's now getting itself its own fairly substantial DeFi base. Optimism is going off and doing its own things, and people launching layer 2s off the back of Optimism and all this kind of thing. So they've both done quite well, but Ethereum is really struggling. And again, if you reduce the amount of money it makes, you reduce the amount of money it can invest back into its own project. You reduce the amount of new projects that can launch by Ethereum, stuff like that. It's not a good sign. Now, this article has decided, in its infinite wisdom, to not talk about the fees. But I knew this would happen, which is why I decided that I was going to give you inside alpha, i.e. I'm going to go and find that information myself to show you. So this is Ethereum on DeFi Llama. This is open to the public. You can go and have a look at this if you want. Oh, it's frozen. Mother of Jehovah. Let's have a look. There we go. Okay, so you didn't miss anything really, apart from maybe a chart or two, but I gave you the price targets there. This is Ethereum on, there we go, I brought that up a bit. Now you can see. This is Ethereum on DeFi Llama. I'll go through that question in a minute, Eugene. Let's go through this first, and then I'll answer your question. So, this is Ethereum on DeFi Llama. Anyone can go to DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama is basically a great big centralized database of all things to do with chains and coins and unlocks and everything like that. Now, over here, you will see a kind of chain fees chart. And what I've done is I've preset it to be the monthly fees generated by Ethereum going back to before the 2021 bull run. And you'll see the fees were astronomical here. And you'll also see that since then, they've made nothing. So if we drag this all the way along to, say, here, you will see the fees they were making have dropped from a high in March of 500 million to 100 million in, hang on, let's drag it a bit further along. There we go. To 100 million here, topping in 200 million. But look at the fees that they've made in the last 2 months. Okay? They're not making any money. Now, they are making money, but they're not making anywhere near the volume they were making. If we zoom out and you go back to the previous bull run, they're making nowhere near the money that they were making because they've reduced the fees. So every time Polygon, every time Optimism, every time Arbitrum processes a transaction, they pay a fee to Ethereum. They got rid of it. They absolutely trashed it. They sent it to 75% of what it was. They've also cut the fees on Ethereum itself, so they're not making any money. Now, the question you've got to ask yourself is, why are they trying to compete with Solana? Solana is fast and cheap. It's not super decentralized. It goes down from time to time. It's not super trusted. It's full of meme coins. Why are you trying to compete? Harvey Nichols, Selfridges, Harrods are not going to start selling Greg's sausage rolls. And for those of you that don't know, a sausage roll is just sausage meat in pastry. And you get them from a sandwich shop that, workers, office workers will go to, and they'll cost you $2. Harrods may sell a sausage roll, but it will cost you $10 or $12 or $15. But you know that when you go to Harrods that you're going to buy a more expensive sausage roll. It will taste nicer. It will have probably less additives in it. But all intents and purposes, you're not going to go there to buy your lunch for $2. Ethereum should not be competing with Solana. Ethereum should be setting itself up to be used as a financial product by everybody that wants to tokenize real-world assets. And it should be set up for proper DeFi. It's gone off and it's tried to be not all things to all men, but it's trying to get hip and trendy. And when you see somebody in a suit come on screen and say bro, or I don't even know what they say nowadays, another one of these catchphrases, you cringe. Ethereum trying to compete with Solana is cringe, okay? There's no vibe here, okay, with this. So, Ethereum's fees have dropped. It will impact on the price, but when, and hopefully when, the market recovers and the volume goes up and we see more and more of these tokenized assets sitting there on a layer 2 or on Ethereum directly, I think we will see a recovery. But their fees, cutting their fees to the core is not something I think personally they should be doing. Good morning, Bullish Bull. Right, now the question was, what do you think will happen to Syrup when Maple Finance ends on April the 31st? Well, it's April the 30th, number one. And what you're talking about is the MPL token. MPL token was their old token. And I can't say the names. What certain exchanges have done is they've given you a deadline and said, you need to convert your Maple to Syrup because we're not going to support it any longer. There's a website that's in the video. I made a video about Maple Finance. I've got something going the wrong way today. I've got a video about Maple Finance that shows you the website that you can go to convert your MPL to Syrup. So they're not getting rid of the Syrup token, they're getting rid of the Maple token, which is the old token. A lot like what happened with Matic. Matic became POL. You all got POL tokens. And then a month or two later, they got rid of the Matic token from the listings. And now you've all got POL. That's what's going to happen. Syrup was listed on the exchange that made that announcement a week or two ago. And then they've given you another 4 weeks to do the change. It's been going on for ages. It's been going on for a while. So again, it's just one of those things. I don't think it's going to affect the price too much. Well, the only way it'll affect anything is if people who've held on to Maple haven't realised what's going to happen. But even then, they can go to the Syrup website and convert their MPL to Syrup. So XRP's worst case scenario could see a drop to 30 cents. Yeah, I can see $1.40. XRP holders are bracing themselves. After a strong bullish run, XRP has hit a rough patch with technical indicators suggesting the possibility of further declines. But what next? XRP has experienced what's known as a death cross, a bearish indicator where the short-term moving average dips below the long-term moving average. This is going to happen to Bitcoin, by the way, in a week's time, 3 days' time, something like that. we're going to get the same, the death cross on Bitcoin as well. What tends to happen is you go down into a death cross and then you go up after a death cross. That's what tends to happen. But again, all bets are off with the orange man. All bets are off. It's not the first time XRP has faced a critical juncture. Back in February 2018, the cross, what happened, it went down by 90%. That was also at the end of a bull run as well. Let's not forget. 2017 bull run, 2021 bull run, 2025 bull run. So these things will happen after a bull run. You want to be looking at the death crosses that happen outside of those three, because they're always going to happen. It's like in most bull runs, you get a lot of conflicting evidence about bullish divergences and bearish divergences that don't always play out, especially if Bitcoin is going up 3 or 4 times a week. You'll see a lot of bullish or bearish divergences that just don't play out. You'll see a lot of death crosses after the Lord's Mare parade. So after the prices run up massively and we start to come down again, you see a lot of death crosses. So after a bull run, you tend to see them. This one is different, however, because this is in the April after we've run up to January highs. So this is different. But we have been saying that if we did lose $2, where would it go? And I think we said $1.50. Well, this is suggesting $1.40. Not a million miles away. However, I do not think we can say that we are going to do the same thing we did in 2018. A 90% correction on XRP from where we are now, actually to where we are now, $2. Yeah, about an 85% correction from where we are now on XRP. Given the rest of this year, I don't see it. I can see $1.50, $1.40, absolutely. I can see Cardano going down towards 50 cents, absolutely. I can see Solana going to 100 to 110. But some of these predictions are like, well, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, in a different landscape, at a different time, straight after a bull run, it dropped 90%. That could happen now. Well, that was a different time, number one. That was straight after the blow-off top, where everything came down. Bitcoin absolutely plummeted. Ethereum plummeted. I don't think it's right to use an example from post-bull run to where we are now, which is in theory pre-all-time highs. I don't think it's a fair comparison. Going back 4 years, going back to this time last cycle would be fairer, but not going straight back to where everything dropped by that amount. Cardano went from $1.50 down to 15 cents. I don't even know how far Cardano went down. So I don't think we're going to see 30 cents. I don't agree with that. I do agree, however, we could see $1.40. If we get bearish news coming out, if we start to see that these tariffs are really going to kick in and it's going to stall the global economy, then we don't need to just worry about XRP. We need to worry about everything because that's going to be a massive knock-on effect. But I just don't think it's going to happen to the extent, there was a term I heard the other day. Let's make sure that the screen is actually updating. It is perfectly. So we will continue like that, and that's the end of the bull run. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's the end of the bull run. Let me just do this for 1 second because I'm starting to see some flicker on the screen. We've got short-term bearish macro news. And when I mean short-term, in January the 20th, all-time high, Trump came in. Everyone was riding a crest of a wave. And even though he said what he was going to do, he's done, and we talked about this on Friday last week, the tariff thing, the interest rates not coming down, the fact that a lot of countries are potentially in a recession and not admitting it, all of those things are weighing everything down. So what I'm talking about now is potentially a month. I've said all along, we should be at an all-time high in April. Now, it's the 2nd of April, and I'm talking about $72,000. A long way from home. But it doesn't have to go to 72,000. Catastrophization is a term that I think has been picked up by the press. And catastrophization is where you take the worst possible potential outcome and then tell people about it. So, you lose your job. You're immediately going to think they're going to take my house off me, my wife's going to leave me, and they're going to repossess my car. Okay? But you can always go out and get a job, or try and get a job. Might not be the same pay, but you can always go and try and get a job. But catastrophization is that moment where you think you're going to lose everything. And people in the press especially, hang on to it. And everybody's telling us that the tariffs are going to be the end. Now, what happens if the tariffs are priced in? What happens if the stock market and crypto have priced those tariffs in? What happens if that 76 or 78,000 was the bottom? These people who trade, they're very, very clever, and they know pretty much the direction that markets are going to go in. Could it be priced in? Yes, absolutely it could be priced in. Could we not see below 80,000 again in this bull run? Absolutely. But we don't know what's going to come out of the tariffs today. We could see 78,000, 86,000 in the same 3 hours. That's why when things like this happen, you don't trade, you don't leverage, you don't long, you don't short. But I don't think the structure of the bull run has finished. I don't think we're going into a bear market. If and when we break $68,000, $69,000 and there's no sign of recovery, then I will start to think that this could be a very, very weak second top. And maybe Donald Trump's inauguration was the top of this bull run. But we're not there yet. A lot of water has got to go under the bridge, and we've got no quantitative easing. We've got no rate cuts. And in the last bull run, we had QE. We'd come out of the COVID lockdown. There was money swilling around everywhere because they pumped 30% of the supply in. So it was a different time. It's why it's difficult to compare this one with last one. We can follow the pattern, but it's not going to be exactly the same. Now, when the money printer gets turned on, when interest rates come down, when the tariff wars are over, when the actual physical conflicts are over, that could all happen in 6 to 8 weeks. It could all happen by June. And in June, what do we have? We have the summer lull. June, July, August, people go away, trading volume falls. Maybe then we look towards September, October. Well, guess what? Every September and October that we've had in the last 3 years has been up and up and up. So I don't think it's the end of the bull run until we start to break any lower than the 72, 74,000. I don't think it's the end of the bull run. But we had this conversation when we wicked down to 49,000 and everybody thought it was over then. And we went from 49,000 to 109,000. I don't think it were there. Nothing we read on a daily basis tells me that the bull run is over. But what we do have is we do have an absolute pain in the backside of a tariff war. It's not helping anybody. Eugene has said, I think it is priced in. Listen, if it's priced in and my short is wrong, I am going to be the happiest man alive because 99.9% of my net worth is still locked in and has been locked in for nearly 2 years. 2 years, pretty much. I'm locked in. I've put a small short in because I think we're going to go down a little bit and I want to get more Sonic. That's what my short's there for. But I don't think it's over. Now then, this is going to be fun. ChatGPT, I think they should change the name because I can't pronounce it, has built a crypto portfolio for you for Q2 of this year. And I'm going to go through this and I'm going to give you my opinion on it. Bear in mind, this is likely to be more accurate than I am. I haven't read this, by the way. I read the first one and decided I would do this live. Let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see it on the screen. So, they have asked AI, Finbold has asked AI to help make the ideal Q2 portfolio to weather the storm. Now, yesterday, we went through the World Liberty Financial portfolio. And I said, that's not a bad shout. Let's make this a little bit quieter. There we go. So we'll see what ChatGPT has to say. So it recommends as 40% in Bitcoin. Yes, I'll go along with that. 25% in Ethereum. I'm sure there's a load of people out there that do not agree with that at this moment in time. Ethereum, again, if Bitcoin goes down, Ethereum's going to go to $1,700. And it's not a bad thing because we know that's where it's going to go. If Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum breaks $2,000. Ethereum's going to be sitting at $2,100. Ethereum is very, it's like a book. You can see the prices of Ethereum in the chart. Of all the charts I've ever looked at for patterns and whatever, Ethereum's the best. You can see 21, 25, 28, 31, 35, 38, 39. They're the numbers. It's very similar to Solana. Solana has really obvious prices. And some of them are so obvious. Of course, 100, 110, 126, 174. I'm sure there's a Fibonacci reason for those prices, and I'm sure the Oracle and KB know that. But from my point of view, when I look at charts and you can see prices where they are and where they could possibly go to, Ethereum breaks down now from where we are. It's going to go to 1,700, 1,720, 1,700 around there. But do I agree with 65% in Bitcoin and Ethereum? Absolutely. When we built our portfolio, the $15,000 portfolio, we put 30% into Bitcoin and 30% into Ethereum. I think that's what we did. So 60% in those two. This is 65%. This is good. Okay. Next, you've got Binance and Cardano. Do I agree with Binance? Binance is like a crypto stablecoin. It moves ever so slowly, but never really gets caught up in the politics. I bought BNB at about $200. When I said on one stream one day I don't hold any BNB, I went and bought it at $200. It's now at $600, and I've done a 3x. It's not bad for a coin that doesn't move. I don't think in this bull run, however, that we're going to see a super, super high BNB price. I don't think it's going to go to $5,000 or $4,000. It's already got a massive market cap. It doesn't have the eyes or the ears of XRP or Cardano. But, and again, this is breaking news, and I'm sure some of you in chat know this already, but are you aware that there is a BNB ETF? I don't know if any of you know this. This is breaking news. It literally came out a few hours ago. I've not included it in the stream, but this has triggered my memory on it. So let me just bring this up to show you. Let's see if we can find news on this. Now, I don't know if this is an April Fool. It could be an April Fool. It could be. But I didn't see it until this morning. So if it is, Van Eck files to establish a trust entity in Delaware for a proposed BNB ETF. That was an hour ago. So like I said, this is breaking news. Van Eck, BNB ETF. Now, I didn't expect this a month or two ago. And in hindsight, and now knowing what we know now, i.e. the Trump, is it the Trump family or is it World Liberty Financial? I can't remember who has bought a 10% stake in a certain exchange. Maybe had I put two and two together, I would have realized that we're going to get a BNB ETF. So we're going to get a BNB ETF. And it does make sense. We've got XRP, Cardano, we've got Ethereum, we've got Bitcoin. We're going to get a BNB ETF. So we're going to get a BNB ETF. So I think 15% allocation based on that news is probably a good idea. Then we've got Cardano, 10% allocation. I tell you what's missing off this list. XRP is missing off this list. But anyway, so Cardano is coming in there. Again, the big thing about Cardano is it's basically buddying up to Bitcoin. Charles was talking last night on one of these podcasts about how you will be able to pay for transactions in Bitcoin when using some element of the Cardano blockchain. So Cardano is going to try and unlock as much of the Bitcoin value as possible. So irrespective of of Trump, irrespective of America, Cardano, when this news comes out, it should absolutely skyrocket, because if they crack it, this is going to do big numbers. Not massive numbers. It's not going to go to $30 for Cardano. We're going to see maybe a $5 to $7 Cardano. So again, from where we are now, that's a huge 9x, maybe 8, 9, 10x. But again, they've got to get it right. And we're talking about potential. It's not delivered yet. When it's delivered, then we can talk about it. But it's going to do big numbers. And when there's a hint that this is an option, we're going to see a $1 plus Cardano. And then we might see a $1.50. And then all-time high last time out was $3. I think if Cardano gets to $3, I'm going to sell up. If we get near $5, I'm going to sell up. That's my price target for Cardano. I think that's a good 10%, yes. 5% in Solana, yes, absolutely, totally agree with that. I will never recommend that token there, number 6, Polkadot. I would swap that out for XRP. And again, this might appear to a lot of people as a boring portfolio, but 65% in the top 2 assets. Very good. 15% and 10% in Cardano and BNB, 25%. So 90% of your money in 4 really solid projects, and then Solana, and swap that one out for XRP. That, again, if you did that today, you've got a really solid portfolio. And for the record, we've got Bitcoin, Cardano, ETH, and Solana. We've got 4 of those 6 in our portfolio. So again, it does kind of tie up a little bit to what we started in January 2023. So it's not a million miles away. We've got a few others in there. Of course, we've got XRP in there and a few others, but that's not a bad portfolio. Right, how are we doing for time? We don't have any time, do we? We have really had a rant today, haven't we? Now, Archax, a UK-based real-world asset exchange, enters the US market with this acquisition deal. This is not a sponsored segment, before anybody says that. Even though we've never talked about Archax, I only saw it pop up on the feed, and I thought, I always try and include different content, because if you're Tariq or Kishan or KB or Danny or Mags, you hear the same projects, or even Eugene, the same things every stream: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano. And I try to find things that happen outside of the big bubble that they are. But the news is always dominated by them. So when something like this pops up, I include it. We are not affiliated or associated in any way, shape or form with them. I saw this and I thought, different. And I've gone to have a look at it as well. And especially as that they're from the UK, we've got to back the UK. If I don't back people from the UK, what's the point? That's why I like Eleanor Terrett. She is a UK journalist in America. She's going to be on the American Crypto Podcast. She's done really well for herself. She's interviewed everybody. I like to promote UK people. And I would expect if you were from Portugal or Spain or America, you'd want to promote your compatriots as well. So this exchange, a real-world asset exchange, has made an entry into the US market after the acquisition of broker-dealer Globacap. The expansion and acquisition in this sector of tokenized asset comes after its acquisition of Spanish broker King and Shaxson Capital Markets in October 2024, which embarked its presence in the EU. So this is a London headquartered fintech company specializing in blah-de-blah-de-blah. We don't need to talk about all this. It's present in the custodial and digital assets custody division. It will provide regulated custody for securities, cryptocurrencies, and tokenized RWAs. And this is a big market. So they are looking on multiple blockchains. This is a good sign as well. So you've got Algorand, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Ethlink, Hedera, Polygon, Solana, Stellar. So they're not just a one-trick pony. They've realized this is going to be a big market. So what I did was I thought, I'm going to go and have a little look at their website. And again, this isn't an exchange. This isn't like the exchange that we're streaming on now. I'm not doing this to put anybody's nose out. I'm just doing it to show you that there is more out there than potentially the exchanges that you're on, and Ondo and people like that. So again, we're not going to go through too much of this. Just to very quickly say, it's a legitimate looking business. A lot of these types of companies, they've got no licenses. They just appear on the internet, tell you they're going to make you 5 or 6% a month return, and then run off with your money like a Ponzi scheme. But this is a genuine business based in the UK. They are listing assets from Aberdeen, Fidelity, BlackRock, State Street, the usual, crypto trading, which we're not going to go through because we're on an exchange. A few of the places that they've been, and then down here you have got the fact that they are regulated by the Financial Services Committee. I just thought it was a nice little business that what is likely to happen is they are going to grow their pie in America, the EU, and the UK. And then somebody, an Ondo or a BlackRock or someone like that, is going to come along and just buy them out. So maybe in the next 3 or 4 years' time, you're going to see an Archax sale for $500 million or $100 million or something like that. That's what's going to happen. Now, what they're competing with is the likes of Mantra, which is a real-world asset platform where you can launch your tokens. You've got the likes of Maple Finance, which isn't strictly, to all intents and purposes, in the same field as Ondo and Mantra. It's in a different real-world asset field. You've got the likes of Pendle. Now, I thought it would be a good idea, now that I've shown you Archax, who are trying to get into this market, to give you a breakdown, and Ondo posted this up, which was quite nice. This is an image of how they work. Let's make this so it fits on the screen. So this is the capital markets. Really boring things, capital markets, I switch off. But on the left, you have the very first side. You've got the blockchains. You've got your Ethereum and your Solanas there. Then you have the benefits of having these Web3 products. Permissionless, yield-bearing, composable, 24/7 access, and DeFi utility. So what that means is you've got $100. You don't need to go through KYC to buy some of their products on Solana. It generates a yield, 3 or 4, 5% yield. The DeFi utility, you can maybe stake some of these tokens and earn a yield that way, or earn a double yield on it. And then on the right-hand side, you've kind of got the people feeding in. You've got the Franklin Templetons, the PayPals, and of course the BlackRocks on there. And then that just goes through the benefits of, from that side, you've got the liquidity, the institutional grade security. That's the number one reason for using Ondo. We had this conversation months ago, didn't we? And I said, would you use Papa Bear DeFi, or would you use Ondo Finance, which is backed by BlackRock? Well, if Ondo is offering me 5%, but it's got the backing of PayPal and Franklin Templeton and BlackRock, who make sure that it's absolutely secure, and then Papa DeFi is offering me 6%, I'm going to go with Ondo, because there's going to be somebody on the end of a phone line or the end of an email who can answer my problem. And you just sacrifice a small amount of your yield to get access to their back end, if you like. So it shows you how Ondo sits in the middle. You have the blockchains and the DeFi capabilities on the left, and then you have traditional finance and what that brings on the right. And it sits in the middle, and it creates products that taps into both markets. So BlackRock comes along with $100 million worth of a treasuries product. That is then offered on-chain through Solana, through Ethereum, through Sui, all of these others, that you can then buy a fraction of, like $100 or $1,000 of that, and then earn that 3 or 4%. And BlackRock, by the way, are making 5 or 6%. So they're taking 1 or 2% out of every 100 million or whatever it might be, maybe more. And Ondo just sit there like a broker. That's all they do. And they don't, obviously, everything always looks so complicated. It isn't. It looks it because I think sometimes they try and overcomplicate things. There was a really good video the other day. I saw it. There's a guy that I follow on TikTok, and he's like a marketing guy. And he gave this example, and it's a really good example. And this is where the likes of Ondo and Maple and Pendle and all of these DeFi companies need to be careful. There was a guy who used to go out for his lunch every day for I think 6 or 7 years, and he'd go for a salad. And he went to the salad shop, which was 100, 200 yards away from his office. He would walk past. I'll put this on the big screen. It's the grey bearded man is talking. He would walk past this place called CHO.P. Chop, I think it was called. Something like that. Anyway, he'd walk past it every day for 7 years to go and get his salad from the salad bar. Chop was a salad bar right outside his office. They had no adverts for salads. They didn't say what they did on the outside of the building. He walked past it thinking it was, I imagine, a barber's. Okay? There was a pizza and pasta place, who had an awning that they wrote pizza, pasta, and salad on. And their sales went up 30%. And sometimes you need to be told the bleeding obvious. Okay? And this is where I think some of these companies absolutely fail. Okay? Welcome to the open economy. This is the problem with some of these products, is that when you go to a broker or your financial advisor, they know what all of this stuff means. And they say, okay, you want to go and use Ondo, and you want to go and use Maple, and you want to go and use these guys, and you want to get this, and you want to get that, and you'll make 5% a year. And you'll go, thank you very much, bye-bye, off you go. You want to do it yourself. These people have come along with the same jargon that they use when they are dealing with these brokers and these financial experts, and they're dealing with you. They need to speak your language. Now, this isn't a dig at Ondo. This is a general dig at a lot of these new crypto companies that come along and talk about 24/7 composable 0K chains. It means nothing. Simpler is better, okay? You need to understand what they do, okay? And you need to understand it in a way where you don't need somebody like me to tell you what they do. Now, this is what annoys me. They've got 2 products. 2. A treasuries fund and a dollar that yields you about 4.6%, something like that. Okay? Now, front page of here should be this. Okay? This should be front page. Do you want to earn 4.25% on your dollars? Yes. Big button. Press the button. Shows you 4.25% backed by BlackRock. Safe as houses. Connect your wallet. Deposit today. Start earning today. Okay? Simple. Keep it simple. Not the global standard for remittances. Who gives a monkeys about that? 4.25% on your $1,000 is $45 a year. Compound, $48 a year. Compound over 10 years, $550. That's what it should be promoting. And again, not having a dig at them, I've just started to see more and more of this kind of stuff pop up. I like Ondo, by the way. You should go and check them out. I do hold a little bit of Ondo. We're not sponsored by them. We're sponsored by one of their almost competitors. It doesn't mean I can't talk about Ondo and tell you the benefits of it. Go and have a look. Go and have a look at them. And again, you can buy their token. There's no massive amounts of utility associated with their token just yet. I imagine you'll be able to stake Ondo in the future, and that's where you'll get your benefit from. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last article. I've massively overrun. Massively overrun. We are what time now? 10 past. Excuse me. 5 gaming tokens that could cause a stir in 2025. I think I swallowed a hair at the start of the stream. I am back to coughing. And I've been taking tablets because it's got rid of my cold. Right then, these are 5 tokens that you should allegedly buy if you want to get into gaming tokens. Now, first of all, I'm not a fan of gaming tokens. Number one, who wrote this? Adrian Barkley. I don't agree with this article. But anyway, let's go through it. Beam. I liked Beam. I covered Beam 9 months ago. I made a review of Beam. It's very, very good. It's a very good project. I don't think the token's going to go up massively. There you go. Flow. Again, anything that's associated with NFTs is down in the dumps. Anything that's associated with Solana at the minute is down in the dumps. No, for me. Decentraland. How many years do they want to get off the ground? 8 years? No. Sandbox. They've also had 6, 7, 8 years to get off the ground. Nope. Engine. Haven't heard from Engine since 2022. So no. So the only ones I would look at personally would be Beam. We covered them last year. It looked okay. Flow, I've never really looked at in massive, massive amounts. Decentraland, Sandbox, and Engine. I was massively bullish on Engine 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever it came out. And they've upgraded and they've upgraded and they've upgraded, but they just ground to a halt. So again, no. Beam and Flow may be out of that list. I've never liked Mana, never liked Sand. But the caveat to all of this, the caveat to everything I say, is that in a bull run, there will be, let's just make sure that everything is closed so I don't go off. In a bull run, a lot of things are going to go up, irrespective of what anybody says, me or anybody else that you watch. Things are going to go up. And you're going to have a pump in real world assets. You're going to have a pump in AI. You're going to have a pump in gaming. You're going to have a pump in layer 2s. Everything's going to get a pump. And you're going to turn around and say, but you said don't buy Mana at 40 cents and now it's at $1.50. Fine, it will. But how many cryptocurrencies do you want to buy? Does Decentraland make money? Does Sandbox make money? No. Does Chainlink, does Solana, does Cardano, does Ethereum, do they make money? Yes. So why do you want to go and buy a token in a project that doesn't make any money? If a game comes out, like we've covered guns yesterday and today, I don't know why I've mentioned them twice in 2 shows, but there you go. Let's say that project launches, and let's say in 3 months' time, we get the Q2 revenue from guns, and it's $50 million, and they've made $20 million profit. And let's say in Q3, it's $70 million and $40 million in profit. Let's say we get 2 quarters of the project growing in size and them making revenue, and there is some kind of buyback and burn or net decrease in guns tokens. Then, and only then, will that be a project worth looking at. Because as it stands, it's like having one of those fake, you know, those guns that shoot out fake money that you see on some of these streamers. They've got these little guns that fire out fake American dollars. That's what these gaming tokens do. They just go like that and just shoot. Everybody gets tokens. Well, those tokens will be worthless. Just sell them as soon as you get them, because you're going to at least hold the money in stable coins. Waste of time. All of it's waste of time. Anyway, on that bombshell, I am done for the day. I am probably going to be back tomorrow, but I am absolutely knackered. I don't know why. I think it's the change in hour. So instead of getting up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm getting up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and it's absolutely wiping me out. So there may be a chance that I don't stream tomorrow. I'll see how I feel later on. I might have a nap. But Friday, I'll be back in the office with the man himself. Where is it? Where's it gone? The man himself, which is... his name's not on here. Where's his name gone? There it is. The Oracle will be back with me on Friday, I hope, from the office. So you might see the Oracle on Friday. Either way, I hope you have a nice day. Let's see what Trump has to say. Let's hope that we do hold on to 83, 84. If we get to 88,000 today, that would be massively bullish. And if we can break 88,000 today, go to 89, 90,000, that would be brilliant. Listen, I don't want the markets to go down. I do not want the markets to go down at all. But this external news is really kicking us in the nuts at the minute, and we just need to ride the waves and ride the storm. So take care, everybody. Thank you, Eugene, Tariq, Bullish Bull, KB, everybody. See you all. Hopefully see you all in the morning. Go pump Bitcoin. Bye-bye.